my story. So I ended up just, in 2009, my first year, I made $60,000 in 4 months. Couldn't believe it. Remember, the kid had never made money. Sure enough, if you guys know me by now or saw anything that has to do with me online, I love cars. So I had 30 grand that paid for school and tuition and housing, and 30 grand went toward a car. Made perfect sense at the time, right? So I was broke the day I finished the job, but what I did is I knew no big deal, because now I know that I can go any day and make money. So I would go in minus 20, minus 30 Alberta weather, and on the weekend while I was in school, I would go and sell. And every sale paid me like $400 or $500. So really, as a student, if you make one sale a week, you're good to keep going through school. And that's how I did it. Now that's when the owner, and that's part of the job, by the way, because people always ask me about opportunity for growth. As soon as you sell 125, you usually get contacted by management about becoming an assistant manager. As soon as you sell 150, you automatically get looked at for, management. Sometimes when people do it in 4 months, because it is a shorter time, some of my guys work 6 months, we even make the exception where you can be around the 100 mark and still get the opportunity to grow to management. Now, when I heard opportunity to grow to management, I was thinking, oh, awesome, I'm gonna now be given people so I can grow them. But that's not how it works. The owner and Shalev, the president of sales, simply told me, no, we're gonna teach you how to recruit, how to motivate people, how to train them, and how to build your own team, essentially your own business, but it's gonna be up to you to actually go and do it. Now here's an Israeli kid in Canada, never, had any friends to go to and recruit from, and I started from scratch. And you know what? I ended up getting somewhat lucky because we managed to get work visas, and I brought 5 of my army friends from Israel, and these guys were just work ethic. And then I had my girlfriend at the time, and I had a Canadian kid from Edmonton that I found online. And that was really our team. And we dominated. So if you can sell 200 in a season, you're looking at about $120,000, $130,000. So my second year started with me reaching 217 sales. So I was doing good personally. But I think part of the success was really me kicking butt so much beside my guys that their standards went through the roof. So here I had a rookie that sold 240 accounts, and I had a rookie that sold 170. And between 8 people, we were very privileged to just do so well. We ended up doing 1,100 accounts. Now to me, as a 21-year-old that never made money, it was just mind-blowing, because all of a sudden I got paid $190,000 in 2010. And that's when my mind shifted. That's when I realized, okay, I'm okay not just paying for school anymore. I'm okay sacrificing going back home. I'm okay sticking to North America if I can retire by age 30. And that's when I realized, hey, this is big money. This is a big opportunity. And I'm doing it for 5 months out of the year. Because what I did is I ended up traveling for 2 months from usually November, December. January, I'll go to winter semester in school. And then May to October, I would be working. That was my routine. And when I made that kind of money, the owner of the company, and again, it's very important to surround yourself with the right people, was the one that told me, Oren, with that kind of money, you gotta go buy a property. And I told him, but why? I'm away for 5 months, then 2 months traveling. Like, why would I buy a mortgage if I'm gone? He's like, Oren, don't argue me. Only an idiot with that kind of money would rent. I'm like, okay. He, at that point, Graham, the owner, that was way back, 2010, probably worth $10 million, right? Only $10 million, but I'm a kid. I'm 20 years old, never done anything. And I just listened to him. To today, I own that property. One funny thing, because I don't know how, but that is my most profitable property to today, just so you know. And what happened is I bought a property and I had 3 renters that lived with me. Instead of being a baller that made 190 grand, I rented the 3 rooms that I had. I developed a basement, and at age 21, my expenses were 2 grand on that property. My rent coming in was $2,500. So I'm owning a house, living in it, and making $500 a month. That's when I realized the power of real estate, because I wasn't doing anything for that $500 a month. And the second I bought another house and moved out of that house, the $500 became $1,500 profit a month. And that's when I realized, I have a vessel here. A vessel that allows me to make good money, allows me to have time off to go and invest in real estate and develop it, as well as actually grow personally. Because management was the craziest thing I've ever done. So growing up, I was always in, youth leadership groups and different places that I was, I guess, the responsible kid, but I was never consumed to the extent this job consumed me. And it's addictive if you are the right type of person, because when you have a vessel that the more you put into it, the more you're gonna get out of it, it's not too common that you reach opportunities like that. And the more I put into it, the more my reps grew. And the more my reps succeeded, the more money I ended up making. And the more I kept investing in people, the more it exploded. And the more I was there, it just kept paying back. And I decided that I'm absolutely committed to this opportunity at a very young age, and that was 21. 2014, my office did 3,500 accounts, and my second office, which was a manager that I grew, did 1,000 accounts. So Oran region in 2014 did 4,500 accounts versus 4,000 that Alarm Force does nationally. Now, you gotta ask yourself why. Door to door works, okay? It doesn't matter how hard it is. It doesn't matter how it's not the prettiest sometimes. It just works, and it works better than anything. It's the oldest method of selling, but when you think about it, it's direct to customer. Because if you have a store somewhere, okay, how easy is it to walk by that store and not walk in? But when you go to someone's door, if you're a good salesperson and you don't give up right away and you're a good communicator, it's not that easy to actually turn you down. Now, I say, imagine if you have the grit and the mindset that I'm gonna talk with 40 people that day, your chance of finding business is quite a bit bigger than if 40 people just walked by a store. Do you understand? And it works like magic. 95% of our business, and I'm talking nowadays, guys, Fluent is worth $200 million, okay? 95% of our customers still come from door to door. 5% come from leads that our call center closes that usually come because of door-to-door sales, okay? So, in 2014 I was a regional, and 2015 that's when the owner of the company decided to move to the States and grow the business down there, and that's when he said, Oren, I think you're ready to take over, I'm gonna focus on the States, Shalev, the president of sales, is gonna come down with me, we trust that you will take good care of Canada, and of course we're here if you need. And that was the big switch for me. In 2015, I basically started to overlook Canada. 16 was a good year. 17, not so much. So it's still performance-based at any level of this industry. And if you're not growing, you're shrinking. I'm sure all of you guys heard the word inflation before. If you leave money in your bank account, that money is shrinking if you're not investing it, okay? If your company is not growing, you are shrinking. So sustaining doesn't work in real business, especially not long term, okay? So when 2017 came, and I had a very big goal in 2017. A long life dream of mine was to buy a Lamborghini, and I failed. I fell short of my goal. And the owner said, Oren, you have the money, just buy it. And I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that, Graham. That's definitely not happening. And I told my wife that 2018, and I have 2 kids at that point, it's my 10th year in the industry, I'm gonna go back to the front. I think me going to lead from the front is going to work. And guess what happened in 2018? I outsold 85% of my sales reps in Canada. I managed a team, the largest team in the company, and the region grew 20%. Which goes to show you, because what did I bring back to the table? Nothing, others in commitment and work ethic. And all of a sudden people say, wow, Oren is doing it, how can I justify not doing it? And that's really the key in entrepreneurship, I think. It's to ask yourself, has it been done? Can it be done? Am I going to do it? And I'm going to elaborate about that. Legitimacy. So when you talk about legitimacy, I always say, do I trust this person? Now when you're in sales, just so you know, you're selling 3 things. 1, you're selling yourself. 2, you're selling a company. 3, you're selling a product, okay? You can always change the company and the product. What Fluent really teaches you is how to sell yourself. Going door to door, and all of the training that you get from it is going to teach you how to sell yourself. Now, if you can sell yourself, it's going to be very hard because people are not going to trust you. Legitimacy starts with you. And we have 100 complaints in the last 3 years on the Better Business Bureau. Tell me that you're not happy with that. Out of 60,000 customers, 100 complain to the Better Business Bureau? You tell me. That's not amazing? That's like what, 1 out of 1,000 people complain? Yeah, you have a point there. So I'm building legitimacy by leveraging something online. Now, if your company is new, right, you're gonna have to find out to get legitimized. Whether it's by the product, because the product has existed for a while, whether it's by neighbors, whatever. But legitimacy is one thing that will kill a deal. Am I an entrepreneur? So I kind of tackled it briefly earlier, but you gotta ask yourself, okay, am I willing to sacrifice? You can't have it all in the start. I'll tell you, I don't know millionaires that got rich overnight. I don't. So I'm 30. I managed over 1,000 sales reps. I now met lots of business people. Some people think for some reason that I'm successful and come to me with questions. I haven't met someone that got rich overnight. I haven't. I've met a lot of people that worked at it, that even grew something and duplicated it. Never met someone that got rich overnight. So when you dream about building the next Facebook, you know, that's one thing I can testify from Israel, because if you guys ever heard, Israel is startup nation. It has more startups per capita than anywhere else in the world. If you knew how many of them make it, it's crazy. It's insane. If you already decided that you're going to be a startup, I think it's like 1 out of 10,000 that started a startup that actually made it to the second or third stage. So that's not home run, that's just they made it past the first stage. So now you gotta ask yourself, am I an innovator? Am I going to invent something and I'm going to be that one guy? And rest assured that if you are, you're also going to have sacrifices, because you're going to need a lot of your life consumed by that opportunity. But if you can't come to terms with sacrifices, if you're telling me, I want to drive a Lamborghini and I want all the wealth, but I am not willing to work more than 6 hours a day, and I'm not willing to lose on my baseball during the summer, sure, sorry, I don't know how to help you. Maybe someone out there would, hopefully, but I have no idea how to get you there. Plain and simple. So sacrifices is just part of the game. And when you make sacrifices, you're allowing yourself to focus, okay? One of the things we always do is we relocate people. We don't let people work from home. That's a huge sacrifice. Oh, I can be successful at home. I can be around my family. Reality is, statistically, okay, guess how many people in the history of my career in this industry succeeded by starting at home and finishing a summer? Anyone?
Zero.
Zero. That's what I'm asking you to guess. Not a single freaking person. That's insane. So now when you know that's a statistic, you know how many people went away for a summer, learned the job, mastered it, and then went home and started to grow it. That exists. But not a single person, their first year going into an opportunity like that, have ever done it on his own from home. Stats don't lie. Am I willing to learn and step out of my comfort zone? You're gonna have to ask yourself that. Knocking doors is awkward. Getting into someone else's house as a stranger is mega awkward. Now, once you start doing it, it becomes very comfortable and with a smile, and you're like, oh, I got this. And you are like the man, because people that watch you, it's like, whoa, how did he just do that? But until you get to that point where you're comfortable, it is extremely strange. And you're gonna have situations where I show people how you have to assume, you know, and usually when I reach into someone's door to show him where a door sensor moves, it automatically, he will go back and I will know how to utilize it and I will slide into his house. Sometimes you do that, and the person doesn't move, right? Imagine, so literally, it's human nature, just, you know, when I'm like, here, excuse my reach, I'll just show you, and I do this, they step back usually, Canadians are so polite, and then I allow myself to the basketball move, and I close the door, and I show him how, that's how it works, right? Imagine if you do that, and you have a big guy, and you do that, and he just stands like a rock there. Now, what I do, it is awkward, but I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, and I'm acting as if like, oh my God, you're so strange, why did you not move, right? And I literally jump a few steps back to make him feel wrong about what he did. And then I start talking very calmly and like slowly and like as if, man, I'm so scared of you. And all of a sudden, he feels like the idiot for actually doing that, and he's now inviting me in, okay? Sales is incredible once you learn how to master it. But you're gonna have to learn how to step out of your comfort zone and to welcome it. Because stepping out of your comfort zone means growth. That's what it means. If you're comfortable at something, it means you either mastered it or you grew up with it. Okay? If you're not comfortable with it, that's when you're actually able to grow. To take a risk is something that business people have to do. It's just part of the gig. It's not something that you can cut corners around. So when Graham, the owner of Fluent, started, he took a big risk. He leveraged all of his real estate and what he built in order to start Fluent. He basically told us, hey, we now have enough capital to do it. Okay? You gotta bet on yourself in life. If you're not ready to bet on yourself, hey, I'm going to make it, you need to teach yourself how to be confident and fake it till you make it or whatever it takes. But risks are a real sin. When you work an hourly wage, okay, who made $40 an hour in the room? Okay, 40, not from sales, okay?
No,
you made before $40 an hour,
yeah.
Okay. What were you doing?
Technician.
Perfect. What's the most amount of hours you were able to work?
8 in a day.
8. So let's say that he was able to make 16-hour days, okay, and his boss did not care about overtime, and 8 hours times 40 is 320, and assuming his boss is an honest man and he pays him double, okay, that means that he's making another 640 in the next 8 hours, so he made $1,000 that day, okay? How is Brendan going to make more money than $1,000? You understand what's going on here? Brendan has a very comfortable box. Very comfortable. That box allows him to make $40 an hour. That's a dream for some people. You want to make that box prettier and bigger? Go for it. I'm making $100 an hour as a lawyer or whatever I am, and I'm still limited to $2,000 a day at best. Okay? Now take that same box, okay, take the roof off, and take the walls off, and you got yourself an entrepreneur or a salesperson. Because if you want to make $1,000 a day, go and sell 2 systems in a day. You want to go and make $2,000 in a day, go and sell 4 systems in a day. You want to go and make $2,000 in a day and you can sell 4 because you figure like I'm good for 2 a day, 4 is out of my reach. Well, go and build an empire where you bring other people, you teach them how to sell, and they will help you make the extra income. You understand? Entrepreneurs and sales reps are the only 2 fields, I truly say that with confidence now, that have no box around you. You have no caps, no limits, because you're the only one deciding about it. So if you're telling me, hey, I'm very comfortable in this box and my life goal is to get into this box, hey, that's awesome for you because that's your life goal. Make sure you get to that box. If you're telling me I do not want a box and I do not want limits and I want to own things that others would never own, then you gotta get on with the program. Now, I talked about business and sales is the 2 platforms that don't have a box. So let's talk about it. Sales as a vessel to your dreams, okay? Well, one thing, right, is that it is performance-based, and that means if I can be a performer, I can do really well, right? That's a good thing. If you wanna be a very good football player, you gotta be able to throw a football. Would you agree? You can work for a wage or you can set your worth. We talked about the box, okay? Business owners set their worth. Commission salespeople set their worth. The rest of the people, doesn't matter how comfy and big that box is, they're being told their worth. I didn't reinvent the wheel. I found a really good niche. I found something I can strive at, and I'm kicking butt at it, and I'm going with it. Okay? I'm making sure that I'm growing my other streams of income, and that's my real estate. I tried stocks and I didn't do good at it, but I'm making sure I'm building my future. What I'm learning is building outside this bubble, if you may call it, is quite hard. Now, why do I call it a bubble? Because I don't know if you heard that stat or not, but 30% of the people that start this job finish it. 30. Sometimes even less. So then you gotta ask yourself, he's talking about greatness and a lot of amazing things. Do I have what it takes? Am I going to be that 1 out of 4 almost that goes and make it? That's a huge accomplishment. If you finish the summer, you're 1 out of 4 right there. Okay? So if you need a tap on the shoulder to feel like, hey, you're a capable person, you're probably more likely to succeed in business, that's a great job to try. Okay? No sales, no profit. Well, imagine if you go and, oh, I hate knocking doors. Go start a business. What do you think is going to happen? Knocking doors is an opportunity to start a business without the liability. Think about it. You're not putting your life savings on the line. You're not taking on a loan to actually do this. You're just taking on the opportunity and very little liability. Your housing and everything I'm going to talk about is taken care of by someone else. Performance-based is limitless. We talked about that box again. It just keeps coming back. You know, it's a really good shot at business without the liabilities, essentially, is what sales are. And I think if you want to be a business person, you have to master sales. I can buy the ring and I can buy that. Statistics, as of today, show 15% of people that use anything automated are buying it and doing it themselves. 85% of the population still look for a professional to come and explain them what's required and to have a professional installer come and do it for them. Okay? If you ask me, the simple explanation behind it is for $1 or $2 a day, I way rather let someone else deal with it. Simple as that. Because if I'm swimming in Mexico and my own alarm system texting me and calling me, well, it's just defeating the purpose because I'm in the ocean having fun and I'm not with my cell phone. So, whip-de-doo, I have a smoke detector that lets me know that there is a fire, but I'm not available. Why do I need to be available 24/7 to know if something's going on? It's way easier to let someone have $1 or $2 a day and do it for me. Take into consideration that when you do that route, you have warranty, you have the 24/7 monitoring, you have different guarantees, you just don't need the headaches. So really, how much do you think you're saving? Because if you were to go and buy a system, retail price, you're going to spend $1,500. Now, if you're not calculating your time, if you're not calculating how much my time is worth, and if you are doing it yourself and not hiring a technician to install it, you're still at $1,500. Well, over 3 years, that means you spend what, $40 a month? So what are you really saving in the first 3 years? Like $10 a month? And you're not getting insurance discount. So the potential is huge, okay? Now, about the company, anyone ever heard of Goldman Sachs? Raise your hand if you know Goldman Sachs. About half of you. Goldman Sachs is the largest investment bank in the world, okay? Now, Goldman Sachs gave us $80 million, bless you, okay? And Sagemount just gave us $25 million. Now, these are huge investment firms. So you gotta ask yourself, if the largest investment bank gave Fluent $80 million, how does that happen, okay? Do you think they just show up and we ask for $80 million and they're like, oh sure, here you go? I'll tell you what really happened. They sent a crew of someone to our office for 2 months, okay? Started auditing our books, started auditing our operations, started to look at our system, how we sell, how we grow. And after 2 months, they finally came with a proposal saying, hey, we're comfortable giving you the money. Now, they didn't make it to where they are because they're silly. Okay? When Goldman Sachs gave us money, it was the biggest tap on the shoulder saying, hey, you guys made it. The biggest investment bank in the world telling us, we trust your structure, you're on the right track, keep kicking ass, here is the money for the growth you need. Okay? That happened again in 2018 and Goldman was in 2014. So Fluent is now at $200 million, which by the way, what it means, we have $3 million coming in every month. Now people sometimes wonder, why do you need all that money? I'll explain to you, okay? When you go and sell, you just knock a door, okay? But if you sell that customer, look how much money is required. You're making anywhere between $400 to $700 commission. The technician needs to get paid anywhere between $100 to $150. Your equipment that you're giving them for free is going to cost anywhere between $400 to $1,000, okay? Then you have all of the operations costs. Where is all that money coming from? Right? If I'm a small business, how am I able to knock on someone's door and be like, hey, you want $2,000 worth of stuff? Because if I wanted 100 customers, if you're good in math, that means I needed $2 million. 2,000 times 100, you guys are not listening, that's wrong math, that's 200,000. But you get the point, okay? That's why you need money. It's a very cash-consuming industry. Not everybody, I should say very few players in the industry got to the point that banks gave them the money, so they can actually start building equity. And I'm not really going to touch about equity and residual and your pay structure during this presentation, because you have people that invited you today and you can ask them if that interests you. But all of these things are part of the Fluent Opportunity. So managers get equity in the company. Residual is something you can make already in your first year and grow. Commission is, of course, something you're going to be making doing this job. Okay? The product. Okay? Really, I kind of talked about it, but what is it exactly? So you have your brain, the panel, the hub of the operation. Then you have an app that allows you to control everything. So when I started, we're selling security. That was it. My sales pitch was, hey, we have remote controls, man. You can press on a remote and unlock your alarm. You don't have to punch in a code. Now, you have an app, you can do it from anywhere. You can control your door locks, you can control your thermostats, you can control your lights, you can control your garage door. You can see if your kids are speeding in the car, you can see where the car is. If someone tows the car, you can get notified. You can turn on the main water valve to your house, so if your flood sensor actually sent an alarm signal, you can automatically have the main water shut off so the water doesn't keep pouring. It's brilliant. And it's going in directions that we couldn't have even dreamed of when we started. What we do, we simply take the best products out there and we put them on one platform. So again, instead of having 4, 5, 6 different apps to control 6 different products, you have one company that from A to Z does it all for you. You knock their door, you explain them how it works. If they're interested, you're offering them a hell of a deal, and then everything gets installed, warranted, and everything goes under one app. Any questions? Does that make sense? Now, the basics where I started are still there with your break and enter, fire, carbon monoxide, flood, freeze, and medical. Why does someone need it? Ask yourself, does anyone have a dog here? Okay. Do you have a doggy door for your dog?
No, it's too big.
Too big. I have a Saint Bernard, so I know big, okay? Now, if there was a fire in the house and you're not home, if there is no doggy door, how does the dog get out?
Exactly.
Crazy. Because you love your dog, I'm sure. You look like a good guy, and he's part of the family, right? How do people, daily basis, leave dogs in a house where if there is a fire, sorry, but the dog can't call up the fire department, can't get out of the house? That's how important that smoke detector is. Same with carbon monoxide. So there is a lot of value if you can actually understand the benefits of what this system does. Okay? What's the opportunity? Again, and we're gonna start eating these pizzas that smell so good right after this slide, okay? Learn sales in real life. I actually, and again, I'm not encouraging anyone to ever drop out of university. I was in business and I was not learning nearly as much in school as I did from this, okay? You can read all you want, but until you face rejection, until you learn how to control your mind, until you learn how to stay positive, you haven't learned sales in real life, okay? That's the difference. If you look at it in the army, you can learn theory all day long, but until you hear a bullet fly over your head and you have the courage to get up and go to war, it's useless. So real life material is that job, okay? Trained by industry leaders. I already talked about the success and the superstars you have in this room. Imagine that times 10. Okay, so you have that all across the board with Fluent. You're going to have a lot of the top performers of the industry teach you how to do what they have mastered. Okay, you also have access to a training manual, videos, in-office training, shadowing, meaning you're going to knock doors with your manager. He looks at you, you look at him, one-on-one simulations. Your managers, this is not MLM, okay? MLM means that I recruit you and I force you to buy a product, and then I force you to bring friends that will buy a product. You would never need to pay us anything doing this job. The opposite. You end up getting all that stuff. Your only obligation is to go and figure how to sell the product if you want to make money. That's it. Now, developing business, I already talked about a lot of the benefits, but if you really want to break it down, communication. Well, you got to think about it. If I'm talking all day long with people, I'm going to basically run into rich, poor, smart, dumb, white, black, you're going to talk with everybody, whether you like it or not, because people live all over. It's a free country. So when you go knock doors, you are forcing yourself to learn how to communicate with all different types of people. So down the road, when you walk into an opportunity, you actually now have the knowledge on how to approach the situation better. Perseverance, I kind of talked about it, which is mental state of mind, okay? Imagine the power, and I talked about it earlier, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. Imagine the power to take a negative and turn it into a positive, right? Imagine to be able to get rejected and to just bounce back and put a smile and go to the next door. Imagine to be invincible and not let anything push you down. Well, that's kind of a job requirement that you are learning while you're doing a job like that. Perseverance, okay? Mental focus. Again, if you're going to constantly be distracted and you're not going to be in your A game, you're not going to make it. People that come, I'll tell you, 90% into this job fail. The 10% sip in very fast. It's a tough job. Guys, there is no question I wouldn't have been able to be where I'm at, and Oren wouldn't have been able to make the money he made in his first year if this was an easy job. We're grateful that this industry is so hard, because all it means is if you can be 1 out of 4 that can make it, this can change your life. That simple. So it's definitely not easy. Problem solving, well, ask yourself, if I'm constantly talking with people and finding ways to solve problems that they never even thought they had, they never realized that their dog can't call the fire department. As soon as they realized that, because I put the seed in their brain and actually made sense to it, now they can see the value in buying what I have to offer. You're automatically learning how to see situations through, to look at things from the macro, to actually see the bigger picture and learn how to solve it, okay? Goal setting. I touched about it in the beginning, but most people really don't have long-term goals, and a lot of people don't even have short-term goals. You're going to learn how to set goals for yourself. You're going to learn how to stay focused and how to stay on track, because the journey is not easy. I'll tell you, it's not easy, and you have ups and downs. And if you ever see these entrepreneur life pictures, you know, I just had one of my managers send me how one day I'm on top of the world, one day I feel broke, one day I'm happy again, and it's a roller coaster. But it's a great roller coaster, and if you learn to control it and master it, you become invincible. All of a sudden, life becomes easy. Grow within an exciting, dynamic company. So I don't know if I said it, but we are privately owned, which means that you're dealing with the owner directly. When I need a change, I call the owner. He's my best friend, actually. So it's very agile, which is so cool, because the company is exploding, but you always have room for input. So if you, for say, Enzo came up with the most brilliant idea for 2020, guess what? Your idea might actually win, and we will develop that product and we'll start selling it in 2020, and you will be getting, I think it's $1,000 that we give every year to the product that got chosen. You're joining an organization that is innovative and wants your input. This is not an organization that ran by a board of directors that doesn't care and just, oh, we know best. Okay? It's a very agile company. Now, what can you expect from the job? We're talking about schedule. You're going to be traveling, which means your housing, accommodation is going to be paid for, as well as your transportation. So, mostly we work in BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, sometimes Manitoba. We will fly you to that side of the country, okay? So we take care of a one-way ticket there. Then when you arrive, someone will pick you up and take you to company housing. Company housing is at no cost to you. So how it works is it costs $100 a week off your pay. What that means, if you haven't sold, no one is ever gonna come and say, hey, you owe me $100. If you don't sell because for some reason you failed, okay, you never needed to spend money here. Now, I'll tell you something. I've never in my career seen a person failing without giving up. It just doesn't happen. Even if you are horrible in sales, if you just talk with people all day, every day, you're gonna land on the people that are like, man, I was looking for an alarm system. Oh man, my neighbor got one and I need one. Now, the funny thing is, you can find one a week and it will still pay you $300-400 at the low end. So $300-400, if you think about it, is minimum wage for 3 days. If you sold one, okay? If you sold two, you're already making more than minimum wage in just selling two. If you sell three, which is usually where I want to see my bottom reps are, you're making $1,000 plus a week, okay? If you can sell one a day in a 4 months program, how many of you guys are students? About half, okay. 4 months program are for students, full-time program is 6 months, okay? I started as a student, I told you I enhanced it to 5 months and not went back to school, but some people work April to October and students usually work May 1st to August 31st. I'll just explain it because there are both types of you guys here. One a day in a 4 months program, you have 108 working days, okay? Why 108? We work 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. Sunday, fun day, that's day off. Usually you do barbecue, lake time, lots of fun time with your team, okay? But for 6 days a week, for 18 weeks of summer, I always say take 2 weeks off. Why 2 weeks? Because Oren sucked and it took him 2 weeks to figure it out. You might figure it out in a day, you might figure it out in a week. Let's say 2 weeks. 16 weeks, 6 days is 96 days. Okay, if you sell one a day at that point, let's assume 10% of your accounts canceled. We're not scamming people. If you lied or they are not happy with it, they could cancel for 10 days. Okay, let's say you're getting paid on 88 deals. You're making just around $30,000 to $35,000, I would say, at one a day in 4 months. You do that in 6 months. Okay, you're now making, again, that's 152 days, take 10%, 135 sales, you're making probably around $75,000. Now, if you're really good at math, you would notice that you're getting paid more at the higher level, because that's the structure of this job. We took performance-based to the next level. Okay, what it means is not only the more you sell, the more you get paid, the more you sell, the more you get paid per unit. Okay, what does that mean? If you sold 50 and someone else sold 100, on the same 50 deals that you sold, he got paid more. So on the first 50 deals, you're making 383, where he's making 433 or something like that. Everybody understand? The more you sell, the higher bracket you get for all of your sales. Okay? Experience, I think I talked about a lot. Invest, that's, I think, part of the game here, because we work for 4 to 6 months. So whatever your investment is up to you guys to figure. Mine was real estate. That's what the owner taught me, and I followed very gracefully. Other people, the time. Time, you can't put a price on time, right? So sure, you sacrifice a lot when you're away for 4 months or 6 months, but then you get all that time off. Imagine going to school without needing to work. Imagine going traveling when you save that much money. That might be your investment, right? Imagine closing off your debt. Imagine having the freedom to do whatever you want. That's really where I hope you invest, but it's totally up to you. You might be a student and you might just be a traveler, right? But investing is the route I took. Every year I bought properties, and at age 25, I ended up with 5 homes that were paying me $5,000 a month already. Give back, okay? That's again, concept of the owner, Graham Wood. He felt that we have to give back. We're so privileged, so he started Fluent Cares. So what it is, it's an opportunity where every year you can donate a couple of your sales, and those go to charity projects. So we've worked in Honduras, we built homes, and then in Peru we built an orphanage, and then in Kenya we went and renovated a school. Now the cool thing is, one, you're going overseas on a very awesome trip. 2 is you're actually being able to experience other people's lives and really not take things for granted and actually be there to help. And it's so much easier when you have 200 people that are with you there to help. So traveling overseas, if you've never left the country or so, we've had multiple people that Fluent was their first trip. And usually the cool thing is when you are already somewhere, you usually extend, right? And then you take an extra week or whatever. So that's kind of all I got. If you do have any questions, you can always, my Instagram is really not a productive account, I'll tell you right now, it's all about cars and fun stuff. LinkedIn is the professional, or Facebook, you can contact any questions down the road, feel free to reach out or email. Sure.
You also talked about the concept of keeping yourself stressed for money. Do you do that in order to, at least in the past, to create some sense of urgency, or was it for other reasons?
No, it's 100% for a sense of urgency, right? Why would you want to get comfortable when you shouldn't be comfortable? People, you know, I always say success before comfort, not comfort before success. People are programmed nowadays to think, oh, this sucks. Oh, I'm not happy. That's okay. Mm-hmm. No one told you that you have to be happy today. You know, Graham always talks about how people want to work where they enjoy. Well, he enjoys camping. You know, there is no money in camping. He says that. But thanks to this, I can go camp wherever I want, whenever I want, right? So you gotta have that balance. And I love cars, you know. It's kind of hard. Like, I could have gone and been a mechanic, but I don't think mechanics buy Lamborghinis. So you know, it's a give and take, right? Now, if you want to be comfortable, it's usually not going to motivate you to do better. So if you have a bank account with $200,000, you're going to sit back, right? If you spent all your money, and the important thing is when you spend your money, spend it wisely and invest, you're probably going to keep making more money.